Here I am on the entry screen in Rush, and this is on my laptop. So I'm editing this on my laptop, but one of the things I like about Rush is it's also available for tablets and iOS and Android devices. And so because the videos live in the Adobe Creative Cloud, I can shoot a video with my camera, start to edit it, take it to my tablet to edit it some more, and then move it to my laptop where I have more real estate to work with. So here are some previous projects. And the one that I'm going to build is a day in the life of a Hummer. So I'll click that. And the way that Rush works is there are channels. There's a video channel, multiple audio channels, and you can have several video channels. And these are text overlay channels. And so if I run the scrubber here, you'll see that it goes through my video. Now, one of the things I want to point out is a lot of times when you're moving the scrubber or playing the video, the text may not look very good. It will look fine when it's rendered in the final video. So to create a new video, I'm going to go back to Home, click Create a New Project, and then I just need to navigate to where I have my images. And so here are the images that I had in that folder I showed you in video 1. And the reason they're numbered is I can now just sit and click these in sequence. So that's the sequence I wanted everything to show up. And then I'll add my audio. I'll come down, give the video a title. And you'll notice it has pre-built my video down here. So when I click Create, it will put all of my video in my timeline. And here's my audio. Pressing the equal key will expand the timeline out. And I find this very helpful because, especially when you're working with these still images, they come in very small. They're only 2 seconds worth. And so they're a little bit difficult if you don't expand the timeline out. Now I can go back and add a title. I'll bring my playback head over to here. Notice my audio doesn't start right away. So I'm going to move my title coming in to right there where my audio starts. And I'll go up to the graphics tool. Click this little icon. And I get Add Graphic. Now, one of the things about Rush that I want to say, it's not that I don't like, but I find a little bit difficult, is in terms of the titles, it just puts them in what I kind of consider this random order. And so it's really helpful if you've used a title that you liked before to write down the name of it, because you can go to the search box, type in a title, and then it will bring up. And so there's 2 what are called Bloom Chrome Write titles. I'm going to select this one, add it. I need to move my cursor into it. Notice a lot of the titles come with built-in animations. So I'll just change this to. Now I can adjust the length of a click by right-clicking on it and then sliding it to the left. If I slide to the right, it will eventually stop. That's because that's how long this clip is. So I can shorten the clip if I want. I can't make it any longer than it actually is. Now I'll come up to my title, lengthen it a little bit. And there I have my title. Here I've expanded my timeline out because I wanted to see where my audio started. My music that I got from the free music site and imported has a few seconds at the very beginning, about 1.5 seconds of silence. So I don't want my audio of my saying a day in the life of a Hummer to start until then. So this just helps me see what's going on. To add the audio, I'll go to the plus sign and click VoiceOver. That turns on an audio channel, and if I roll over the little red button, it says tap to record. A day in the life of a Hummer in my backyard. Rush has some nice sound editing tools. Under Audio, I'll select that, go to Advanced, and ask it to reduce the background noise. I didn't hear any echo, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and play that again. A day in the life of a Hummer. So we still have a little bit of audio in the background there, but that's actually coming from the stealth cam and the traffic noise. I can do a little bit of trimming here. Okay, the audio actually stops there. So with this track selected, if I come up to Clip Split, that will split the voiceover, and I can now delete that. So I can do that to an audio channel, any of the video or still images that I have, or a text box. So let's shrink the timeline back down by using the minus key. That lets me just travel back and forth a little bit easier. And I'll go to one of my graphics, and I'll expand this out so that I can work with it. Here's a screen that I created in Photoshop with the 5 hummingbirds that you can find in Tucson. And I now want to put in a little bit of text. So I'll go back to Rush, and this was a text box called Sunrise. So I'll select that and click Add. And it will place it on the screen. I can come in, move it around. I'm going to select the text and decrease the size a little bit. And then this is where it's helpful to have your script, because rather than having to type all of this in, I'm just going to copy that, go back to Rush, and paste it. Now, unfortunately, it does it in all one line. I wish it did this a little bit differently. So I've got to play around with this now to format it. And I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll just go ahead and do that. Basically what I'll do is I'll bring it so that I can edit it, decide that I want to break it right there, put in a line break. I get to have some fun with it, centering it. So I'll be back in a minute when I've edited this all. Okay, so here's the text aligned. If I'm not concerned about having this fancy animation here, having it slide in and then show up, what I probably would do is when I created this slide in Photoshop, I just go ahead and add the text there. The last thing to show you is there's some transition effects. So I'll go to transitions, and I have things like dissolve, sliding right, pushing right. To be honest, 90% of an edit in a video is none. Usually we use dissolves when you're going from one concept to another. You might also use a dissolve to black to do that. So I'll go ahead and put in dissolve. Other thing I need to do, I just noticed, is I need to trim this back down again. This text box went a little too far, so I'll make that shorter so that it's just in the area with the 5 birds. And now when I play this, I can see my dissolve. Last little function that I find interesting is the timing. I use it in 2 ways. One is to change the clip duration. This is very helpful when you want to edit a single image to make it longer or shorter, but you can also play around with the speed. So I'm going to slow this down to about 50%. And so now you can see here's my Hummer with his or her wings flapping at 50%. I think I've said this is the last thing I'm going to show you about 3 times now. So here's the second to last thing I'm going to show you. Here's the slide that I have that has the text. And instead, I'm going to go over to Photoshop. And here I've created that text using a Verbana, which is a nice clear font, a little bit larger font than I could get away with over in Rush. And also it allowed me to left justify this text. I'm not going to bother putting in the yellow background. I could throw one in here with all of the channels, but I'm just not going to worry about that. So I've saved this file both as a PSD and as a JPEG. I'll go back to Rush. I'm going to take this slide out and place the playback head where I want to insert the new slide. I'll go up to my Add Media, select Your Media, and I already had it set for the folder, so I didn't have to navigate to it, but it just was in A Day in the Life of a Hummer. And I also renamed them so that the ones with text showed up at the very beginning. I just want to point out you can import either a PSD or a JPEG. I'll just click on it. Made a little bit of mistake there. I clicked on both the JPEG and the PSD. That would have imported both of them. So I just want the JPEG. I'll click Add. Now it put it in after the playback. That's not exactly where I want it, but that's okay. I can just click and hold down with my mouse and slide it in the timeline to where I want it to appear. So that's adding a new slide once you've already built it from your very initial build. That's it for creating the video. I'm going to go back to the one that I've already built. Here it is, all laid out, and you notice I did a lot of trimming down the timing of some of these sequences, added some text, and the last thing is to share it. And this is fun because you can share it locally, basically just export it to your local hard drive. But you can also tell it to send it to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and something called Behance, which is Adobe's portfolio. Normally, I'll just do it to YouTube and to my local computer. So I'm going to click Export and come back to you once it's exported. It usually takes a minute or two. So here it is compressing it locally and also to be published for YouTube. Here I am back, and Rush took about 4 to 5 minutes to render this 2.5-minute video in the 2 different formats. If you're just doing it to local, you don't need to worry about this. But if you're going to YouTube, you need to make sure that you click Publish. And it will ask you to enter some kind of YouTube-y information. Now, you can always just do export to your local and then go into YouTube and upload it yourself, but it's nice that it saves you that step. That's it for creating a video in Rush.